Hi and welcome to a new video, and this time we have a special. It's an Edifice premium watch from an Edifice line. The latest additions to the ECB900 series of Edifice metal chronograph models with advanced features and functions that allow linking with your smartphone. These models are subcategorized into the EQS 900 series and the EQS 800 series, and both series share the same set of specs including tough solar, battery level indicator and 100-meter water resistance, but differ in the position of the subdials and some minor variations in the overall design. I own a EQS 500 and it's all analog, beautiful watch, and served me well. Never had to service it or change a rechargeable battery, and tough solar movement is similar to ones installed in Gshock, so the watch is very bang-proof and made for desk diving. Outer bezel coating is very tough and won't scratch easily, that's for sure. Maybe these are the fancy-looking G-Shocks for people with different lifestyle. This watch will serve you, that's for sure. Personally, I like their busy, tacky-looking dial. This is a big watch, measuring over 50 millimeters in diameter, and in the era of big watches, it fits in very well. On the bright side, it isn't too thick, at just 14 millimeters. There are many mechanical chronographs that are thicker. These proportions, however, will likely make the piece appear even more expensive on the wrist. Also very cool feature is this battery level indicator on the screen. Casio Edifice watches often have love or hate designs, and the new Edifice ECB900 watches are no exception. They have busy, multi-layer dials and are complicated to look at. Without a manual or some sort of explanation advice, I think it's impossible to fathom all these controls. Some people like it, some people don't. These new models feature digital display at 12 o'clock and at 9 o'clock, which team up with the analog indicators to show up information in an easy-to-understand format. Establishing a Bluetooth connection between these watches and a smartphone ensures accurate timekeeping, including summertime switching in virtually any country in the world. A phone can also be used to configure a variety of watch settings. A motorsport-inspired 1/1000th of a second stopwatch comes with a memory for 200 lap record time, and recording a lap time causes the lower right dial to indicate the average speed. A smartphone app lets you select from more than 300 cities in the world times city, and simplifies the alarm and countdown timer settings. These watches also come with Super Illuminator, which uses high brightness LED illumination that automatically illuminates both the analog face and the digital display. Whenever there's a function whenever you angle the watch towards you, the face will light up. The Casio Edifice ECB900 is priced at $200, and for the money, I don't think there are many other watches that can do quite as much as this one can. So, let's get the basics of what this watch can and cannot do. First of all, this is the main dial, so to shuffle between the modes, press the mode button, and that's the lower left one. First, the stopwatch is first in a row, and as you can see, it's a 1/1000th of a second stopwatch, with the lower right subdial helping you figure out the speed. Next up, it's the data recall mode, and then it's timer. I'm shuffling between functions, every function you pressing the mode button, and that's the lower left one. Next up, it's the alarms, the second time zone, and higher pitch of the sound gets us back to the standard timekeeping. Other useful features and functions to know are the buttons pressing these buttons whilst in the standard timekeeping mode. For example, if you press the upper left button, it will shuffle these two screens between the date representation. So we have Friday the 10th of January, and one press gets us back to the digital representation of the analog time displayed, and upper dial shows the seconds. The upper right button is the illumination button, and it activates the illumination. Now, cool thing about it is that you can move these hands if you want to better see the digital displays or the subdial over here. By pressing the illumination and pressing the mode button, the watch will automatically move the hands to this position over here, so it won't interfere. Getting back to the standard timekeeping, by pressing the illumination, then mode button again, watch the rotates the hands where are they supposed to be. And we have a button over here. By pressing the button, I can quick check my time zone. So it's Paris time zone, and again Paris time zone, and it gets back to the standard timekeeping. Over here we have a Bluetooth inscribed button, which is used to connect your phone with the watch. And later that I'll be talking in my other videos. Welcome to the tutorial part of this review. Setting the time and date on this ECB900 is done like this. Whilst in the standard timekeeping mode, hold down the upper left button, deep press until the set starts to blink on the sub-dial at 9 o'clock. And then we are in the mode of setting the home city settings. Currently this is my time zone, so I preset the value of this time zone. But if you want to change it, you can press these two buttons and the time zones will shuffle. I'm gonna keep it at the Paris time zone since it's my time zone. Next up, again pressing this lower left one gets us to the daylight saving time mode. I can shift the value by pressing the lower right one, so I'm gonna leave it at auto. Next up is the setting of the seconds, and they are blinking. How to reset the value of the seconds: by pressing the lower right button. Pressing the lower left one gets us to setting the hours, and I can shift the hours value by pressing these two buttons, increase or decrease. Next press of the mode button gets us to setting the minutes, and the procedure is the same like the hours. By pressing these two, you can increase or decrease the value. Next up is the year setting, and we have flashing the year 2020, and it is at 2020 since this watch has automatic calendar pre-programmed, but you can replace the value by pressing these two buttons. Next step is setting the month, and as you can see, the January or the 1st is blinking, and I can increase or decrease the value again using these two buttons. The procedure is exactly the same for the day, and now we come to the 12 and 24 hour format time. By pressing this button over here, I can shift the value, and I'm gonna shift it to the 24-hour format. Next up, pressing this button again. This is the format of the date display, and I can shift between month and day to the day and month. Now I'm gonna leave it at, I can shift it to day and month. That's easier for me to read and understand. Next press of the mode button gets us to the day of the week language, and I can shift the language to the preset values of the languages that are this watch provides. Next up would be the operation tone or the mode to disable or enable it. By pressing this one over here, I can mute it or let it beep when I press the keys. Next up is the auto light switch. That's blinking off, but I can turn it on or off using this button over here. Again, pressing the lower left one gets us to the light duration. Currently is set to 1 second, but I can shift it to 3 seconds. I'm gonna leave it at 1. Pressing the mode button again gets the auto adjust mode, and currently it's turned off, so since it's a store watch, I'm not gonna touch it. I'm gonna leave it at off. Next function is the power saving. Since this is a solar powered and solar charged watch, it has an option to reduce the battery reduce the discharging of the battery by getting into the standby mode. So I'm gonna leave it at on, and next press gets us to the beginning and setting day or time zone. And once we are done with all the settings, one press of the adjust button gets us to the standard timekeeping mode. And as you can see, these lights are returning to the preset value, since they have been moved aside by the watch mechanism to allow for the changes to be done without interfering with the view to the subdials. The stopwatch mode. The stopwatch measures the elapsed time in 1/1000th of a second units for the first hour, and in 1/10th of a second units after that for the up to 24 hours. In addition to normal elapsed time measurements, the stopwatch also lets you measure the lap times. Now, how to enter the stopwatch mode? I believe it's a first press of the button, mode button, and then we are reset. Now, measuring the elapsed time, first of all, let's get to see what these indications on the screen actually mean. But let's also try a function of moving the hands out of the way. And there it is. And it's working. So, let's see. What are the representatives? We have the minutes and the seconds shown here. So these are the minutes and these are the seconds. And also we have a seconds indicated on the second hand. And over here on the upper subdial at 12 o'clock, we have a display of the 1/1000th of a second. So how to measure the elapsed time? First of all, press the lower right button to start. Upper left one to stop. Lower to resume. And one above to stop. Elapsed time is shown in 1/1000th of a second units for the first hour of the measurement session. After the first hour, elapsed time is shown in 1/10th of a second. So, how to reset to the zeros? Press the upper left button. Now we are moving to the measurement of the lap times. Also, as I said previously, all the indicators stay the same. Sorry. So, how to start the measurement? Press the lower right one, and each press of this button causes the elapsed time of the section or the lap time to be shown for 8 seconds. So let's try it. First press, and the time is shown for 8 seconds, and we have here the countdown. So we'll start again. Yes, that's the first lap, the second lap, and that's basically how it works. Now the elapsed time is shown in 1/1000th of a second units for the first hour of the measurement session, and after that is shown in 1/10th of a second. So let's pause it, start it, pause it, and reset it. And that would be the basics of a stopwatch mode. Operating the countdown timer on this edifice is done like this. From the standard timekeeping mode, press the mode button three times to enter the timer mode. So over here we have a preset value of the timer mode, and it's 10 minutes. So first 0 represents the hours, the minutes, and the seconds. How to set the value of your timer? Depressing the adjust button or the upper left one. So we have the currently hours blinking. Use upper and lower right buttons to increase or decrease the value of the hours that will count down. Next press of this button over here moves the blinker position to the minute setting, and I can shift the value by pressing these two buttons. Next press moves to the seconds setting, and I can set the value of countdown seconds. Then when we are done with the progress or the procedure, press the adjust button again, and we are we have set the countdown timer values. To start the timer, press this button over here, lower right one. To pause it, press the upper button, and then to start it again, press the lower dial. Now a beeper will sound for 10 seconds to let you know when the end of a countdown is reached. again resetting it and pausing it and then resetting to 0 again by pressing the upper left button. So those are the basics of the countdown timer. Alarms and hourly signal time. The watch will beep when the alarm time is reached. You can set up to 5 different alarms, and the hourly time signal causes the watch to beep every hour on the hour. The alarm sound is muted in the cases when the battery power is low and when the watch is at the level 2 of the battery power saving. So to get to the alarm mode, first of all, let's get to the alarm mode. From timekeeping mode, keep pressing the lower left until the AL is indicated on this dial over here, and it was indicated. How to scroll through the alarm numbers from the alarm 1 to alarm 5. That's done by pressing the lower right button, and I can shuffle between the 5 alarms and the hourly time signal. So here we have a representation of the, currently it's alarm time, but when I was shuffling it was shown the number of the alarm 1 to 5. And over here we have a representation, is that alarm on or off. How to set the alarm? Well, hold down the adjust button for about 2 seconds, and now I'm in the mode of the adjusting the alarm time, and I can do that by pressing these 2 buttons, and I can shift the value or increase or decrease by pressing these 2 buttons. Shifting to the minute setting or the minute value is done by pressing this button over here. And again, the procedure is same, and once we are done, I can press the that's the daily alarm, and now we are back. Pressing the adjust again, I have activated the alarm. Sorry, I went to the different mode, and pressing the upper left button, I can activate each individual alarm, on or off. Alarm 2, let's say alarm 3, on or off. And that would be the basics of the alarm settings. Now, this watch has a function of letting you the option of scheduling your alarm, and that's complicated operation, but it's easily done on the app that comes with this watch, and since this is a Bluetooth synchronized watch, it's much easier to do that. Now I'm gonna move on to the enabling or disabling an alarm or the hourly time signal. How to scroll to the alarms. I can scroll through the alarms by pressing this lower right button, and then once I get to the signal, I can switch it on or off. I don't know if camera can pick it up since the minute hand is interfering, but I can switch it on or off, and I can set the value of the alarm or the hourly time signal. So those are the basics, and then when I press it, you can see the signal line is shown, as well as when the alarm is activated, you have a line shown beneath. And that would be the basics of the hourly time signal. The world time mode. Entering the world time mode is done by pressing the mode button until we get to the, and there it is. It's a final step in the process when shifting through the functions. How to shuffle the time zone. By pressing the lower right dial, I can shuffle between the cities, and those 39 cities correspond with 39 time zones. So whichever time zone I leave, I can choose that time zone to be my representation of time. By pressing and holding the upper adjust button, I can shift the daytime or daylight saving time on or off, or auto. I'm gonna leave it at auto because this watch is synchronized with the phone, and hence the auto adjustment. And there it is. And there's a cool option for these watches, and it's used for the used by the frequent flyers, and that's the swapping your home time and the world time. Whilst in the timekeeping mode, press A and upper or the adjust button and the upper right button at the same time to swap the time zones. Watch this sub-dial over here at 9 o'clock. Currently it's a Paris time zone, and it will shift to the, I believe it's Chicago. And when I press it, there we go, it's shifted to the Chicago time. So it's 10 hours and 7 minutes. Again, pressing it gets us back to the Paris time zone. Very cool and interesting feature, and to be used for sure from those who change their time zones regularly. Hand alignment adjustment. Strong magnetism or impact can cause the time indicated by the analog hands to become different from the time displayed on the digital display. If this happens, adjust hand alignment. And how to do that? Well, from the timekeeping mode, depress the upper left one or the adjust button until the 0 starts to flash or the set hand appears. So there it is. The zeros are flashing, and we are in the mode of setting the second value. So if the second hand is not aligned at 12 o'clock, use the upper or the lower right button to adjust it. Since it was, I'm gonna get it back to the position it's supposed to be. Moving to the next sub-dial, and that's the lower right one, by pressing the lower left button. And now we have to wait for these minute and the hour hand to move aside, and that's a process that takes a bit. And once we are done, I can correct the value of this mode hand. Now this mode hand has to be aligned with the 12 o'clock perfectly, and as I can see very well, it's not. So let me just align it properly. I believe that would be the correct alignment. Nope. Right now that's the correct one. And once we are done, how to shuffle to the setting of the hour and minute hand? Well, by pressing the lower left one, I get to the adjusting the minute and the hour hand. Now they both should be aligned at 12 o'clock, same as the second hand. So let's wait for that. And there it is. The hands are perfectly aligned, so there's no need for me to manually adjust the hand positions. But in the case of that, I would press these two buttons and these hands would move left or right, so until you get it to the 12 o'clock position. That's basically it. And once we are done with the time setting or the hand alignment setting, press the upper left one, and the watch will return to the standard timekeeping mode. Syncing your phone with the watch. Now, I have I'm an Android user, so in the next segment I'm going to show you how to connect or use the Bluetooth connection on the as well as phone and on the watch to interchange the information and perform the operations on the watch via the phone. So first of all, I would have to open the Play Store and install the application, and the app is Edifice Connected. I have to download it and install it so I can show you the procedure. And here is the app, it's installed. Let's run the app and see how to go from there. Waiting for the app to load. I have to accept the terms of agreement, screw it to the bottom, okay, and allow the app to access my files. Activate the Bluetooth. I have to activate the Bluetooth, and that's it. Now find my watch. It's the ECB900. To connect, please push the button on the watch, and that's this button. So let's try, and the watch should point at the R. There it is, it's ready, and it says register the watch to the app, and when I press it, the second hand should move to the Bluetooth. No, it kept on the regular timekeeping. On the previous model I had, well, it says failed to connect. Let's try again. Register the watch. Connecting. And yes, it moves to the Bluetooth and the watch is connected. So I thought it was somewhat different in design, or the program. It was the watch was programmed differently than the EQB. I believe it was the 500 that I have previously and done a review. So let's see what this app has to offer. Now let's start with the guide, since it's number one, and the guide is basically the operations. And over here, on the clicking on the upper gear button, clicking on the watch, I have the unit settings, and this is for the distance when the calculating the speed via the stopwatch. And this is the phone finder, watch display settings, and here are some of the manual settings that I have ran through previously on the my tutorial. Setting the operation sound, setting the time for connecting the app, time adjustment. Over here I can adjust the time. In some cases, so this is the automatically adjusting your watch every day. It sends the information using the phone. Light setting, over here I have a duration of the illumination, and also the a possibility to turn on or off auto light. Power saving settings also, it's turned on. Adjusting the home positions. Now that's the part I've done previously on the watch itself, so manually, but over here I can adjust each and every hand individually on the phone. So over here I can adjust by pressing these two buttons, and it's pretty intuitive, so no problem with that. Summertime setting, and for home time, so this is the my time zone. Okay, not a problem with that. Let's see what else there is to say. Stopwatch, log import. I don't know if there's any data, because this watch is brand new. No data. But over here you will have the watch shown the data, and you can perform the operations of the speedometer and etc. Next up would be the world time. The world time is set to Chicago, and the home time to Sarajevo, or the Paris time zone. Now I can shift these two time zones by pressing this button over here in the middle. Also a very cool feature is this power level indicator up top. Utility functions like the alarm. I can adjust each and every individual alarm. Yes, there it is. And the hourly time signal. Also there's a possibility to schedule the alarm. Let's see the timer. Yes, pretty basic operations, but it will work. Other thing I saw, I believe it is the over here, and it's the view guide, and it basically is a very intuitive, I would say, the instructions for the whole watch and the separate functions. So I have each and every mode here explained. Let's check all time. Yes, that's pretty much it regarding the phone's app. And you don't get too much, but you get basically everything that you need for this watch to operate. Also, a cool feature is the phone finder. How to unpair the watch from the phone: press the gear button over here, tap the ECB900, scroll to the bottom, and press the disconnect. The same option can be, or the same function can be done by pressing the Bluetooth button. And it says, do you want to disconnect? I'd say okay, and the watch is back to its standard timekeeping mode, and the app is disconnected from the watch. And once we have done with the unpairing the watch from the phone and vice versa, we can move on to the next part, and that would be returning the watch to the factory setting or the factory default setting, or deleting the pairing information from the phone. Now, this section explains how to return the watch setting below to their initial factory, and those settings are the watch settings, stopwatch, timer, and the alarm. To do that operation, hold down the adjust button for about 2 seconds, and then release the button when the currently selected home city name appears on the display. Press the lower left one or the mode button twice. There it is. Then this causes the seconds to flash. Hold down the upper right button for at least 5 seconds, and release the same button when the reset starts flashing. So let's go. It's pair cleared, clear all, and reset start flashing, and that would be it. So we have removed the all the pairing information. Now we can get back to the standard timekeeping mode, and that's basically it. Now this part over here would conclude this ECB900 review. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please do leave a like and subscribe.